Transformers game really only has to deliver on two simple things. Make it fun to transform, and make it fun to destroy robots. Rise of the Dark Spark is a dud on both of those fronts, and it throws in a confusing story to boot. It's a simple storyline about the bad guys wanting to find the Dark Spark, and the good guys trying to stop them. But the way the 14 missions randomly and unevenly alternate between Autobots and Decepticons makes no sense. In the middle of the Decepticons capturing the important relic, you jump to an Autobot mission, and after the halfway point, the Decepticons side of the story just stops being told. It's jarring. Even worse, because these Transformers now use the Michael Bay movie style, where there is not much to distinguish good guys from bad guys outside of a tiny logo, it can be hard to tell which side you're on. Aside from the always game Peter Cullen reprising his role as Optimus Prime, there's few noteworthy performances from the rest of the cast.
Megatron's fortress.
Yeah, he always was modest.
The dull audio and campaign design extends outward, as the soundtrack is a grating Hans Zimmer-style bombast mixed with dubstep, while the stages alternate between bland, dilapidated Earth cities and samey labyrinth outer space bases. The few times Rise of the Dark Spark dares to venture outside on other planets, it makes for memorable diversions, but those levels are rare exceptions.
Starscream.
Quit your dallying!
Each of the 20 guns you wield has a very distinct style, from a standard semi-automatic and shotgun to more interesting ideas like an electric beam that changes between enemies, a slime cannon, and Dead Space-like blade and bolo shooters. However, the enemies you'll use them on aren't much fun to fight with. The ones that lack overpowered weapons will perform extreme evasive maneuvers that are doubly frustrating, since you usually need to clear out all enemies in particular sections to progress. The nail in the coffin is that vehicular transformations fail to spice up the combat. If the Transformer you're playing as turns into a car, you can expect clunky turning and a dire lack of a sense of speed. The air-based transformations aren't as bad, but since there's no radar, tracking down flying enemies is an annoying game of hide-and-seek. And for some reason, there's only one Dinobot and one Insecticon during the entire campaign, instead saving these unique versions for multiplayer. Seems like a waste. Outside of upgrading your guns with larger clips, quicker reloads, and bonuses specific to each weapon, the rest of Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark's progression systems fall flat. Unlockable gearboxes function much like the customization packs in Mass Effect 3. However, there's just too much inside these packs. The process of slowly sifting through each item to find ones you can actually use becomes boring fast. It's slightly less annoying to open gearboxes while preparing your character for the slightly redeeming online co-op escalation mode. With 4 players against 15 waves of progressively more difficult enemies on 8 well-designed maps, there's a sense of urgency in escalation. There's no epic boss encounters of Gears of War's Horde mode, or the insane extraction endings of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare's Garden Ops, but it's still the most entertaining part of Rise of the Dark Spark.
Corrosive installation offline.
Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark has a few bright spots. The co-op escalation mode is enjoyable, and there are cool weapons befitting the bots. But the bland campaign is a slog with uneven difficulty, while vehicle transformations and combat are largely unsatisfying. Without nailing that, you've got a bad Transformers game. For more on Transformers, keep it on IGN.